They say older men have the advantage: wisdom, confidence, stability. But walk into a room with a stunning, high-value woman and suddenly, all of that disappears. You get quiet. You second-guess yourself. You think, she's out of my league, or worse, I'm too old for this. But here's the truth. That voice in your head isn't wisdom. It's fear in disguise. And it's costing you everything. The problem isn't your age. It's how you carry it. In this video, we're going to break down the 3 biggest mistakes older men make when dating beautiful women and how to replace them with timeless, grounded attraction. These aren't pickup tricks. These are psychological shifts rooted in Stoic philosophy. Because confidence isn't loud. It's steady. Presence isn't performance. It's posture. And your age? It's not something to hide. It's your edge. The 3rd mistake is the one that ruins more chances than anything else, and most men don't even know they're doing it. If you're a man in your 40s, 50s, or beyond, and you're ready to stop sabotaging your own power, stay with me. Watch to the end, and I'll show you how to lead with something no young man can fake: authentic, tested, masculine presence. Let's begin. Mistake number 1. The provider trap. Mistake number 1 is what I call the provider trap, and it's the most seductive, socially accepted, and dangerous mistake older men make when dealing with beautiful women. On the surface, it looks noble. You've worked hard. You've built success. You have the means, the resources, the experience. And your instinct, finely honed over decades, is to lead with that. You want to show her you're capable, that you can take care of her. So what happens? You overcompliment her looks. You overpay for dinner. You overpromise future getaways or luxury experiences. You lead with your wallet. And in doing so, you quietly send one devastating message: I don't believe I'm enough unless I offer you something material. That's the trap. You see, beautiful women, especially high-value ones, are already surrounded by offers. Flights, dinners, gifts, access. But what they rarely encounter is a man who makes her feel seen, who doesn't flinch in her presence, who offers not a purchase, but a presence. The truth is, the more you try to impress her, the more you signal to her that you don't see your own worth, that you've reduced yourself to a transaction. And she won't say it, but the moment she feels this, the attraction dies. Here's the paradox. The men who don't try to win her are often the ones who do. Why? Because they lead with their calm, not their credit card. They ask intelligent questions. They bring grounded energy. They share stories, not resumes. They're not trying to prove. They're just being. That's the masculine frame she wants to step into, not the guy who books the rooftop table before he's even learned her last name. Let me give you a real-world example. A friend of mine, 52 years old, highly successful, met a stunning woman at a mutual friend's dinner. He didn't mention his job once. Didn't name drop. Didn't offer to take her somewhere nice. Instead, he asked her one question: what's the conversation you're not getting to have with most people? She paused, surprised, smiled, and talked for 20 minutes straight. By the end of the night, she said something I'll never forget. You made me feel more understood in 2 hours than men twice your age have done in months. You want to be that man, not the man who buys the bottle, the man who owns the room, not the man who performs, the man who listens, then speaks with weight. So, next time you feel the urge to impress her, stop. Instead, express something real: your perspective, your humor, your presence. The man who leads with soul will always outlast the man who leads with stuff. And remember this: she doesn't need another provider. She's looking for a partner, a witness, a man whose value isn't just what he has, but who he's become. But if you think this is the biggest mistake most men make, think again. Because mistake number 2? It looks like confidence on the outside, but inside, it's pure scarcity. And it's killing your chances silently. Let's keep going. Mistake number 2, the overeagerness epidemic. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. When you show up too fast, too eager, too available, you don't come off as passionate. You come off as desperate. And in the dating world, desperation is the fastest way to destroy attraction. This is mistake number 2, the overeagerness epidemic. It starts subtly. You meet her. She's beautiful, magnetic, and somehow, despite everything you thought, she's interested. You get excited. You text her first thing in the morning. You check your phone every 5 minutes. You reschedule your plans just in case she's free. You call her amazing after the first dinner. You say yes to every invitation.
Why?
Because deep down, there's this voice saying, this might be my only shot. And that's the problem. You're acting from scarcity, not strength. You see, women, especially high-value, emotionally intelligent women, don't just feel your presence, they feel your center. They can tell when you've made them the center of your world before you've even built a real connection. And when that happens, the energy flips. You're no longer a grounded man inviting her into your orbit. You're a man orbiting her, hoping to be chosen.
And she'll feel that shift.
Instantly. Here's the Stoic insight. If you want to be loved, love yourself first. Because when your sense of self-worth depends on someone else's response, you're no longer in control. You've given her the keys to your confidence. Let me paint a real-life picture. A man in his 60s, smart, successful, goes on a first date with a younger woman. It goes well. They laugh. There's chemistry. But the next morning, he sends her 3 texts before noon. 2 more that evening. He cancels a golf trip to be available just in case she wants to meet again. And you know what she told a friend? It's like he had nothing else going on. That's not sexy, it's sad. Now hear me clearly. I'm not telling you to play games. I'm telling you to hold your center. To remember that you are the gravity. Your life, your routines, your work, your health, your purpose must remain intact. You don't need to be cold or distant. You just need to be anchored. She should feel like stepping into your life requires a slight stretch, not that you dropped everything to orbit hers. Here's the paradox. When you respect your time, so does she. When you don't rush, it builds anticipation. When you're selective with your availability, it communicates self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. So the next time you meet someone who stirs your interest, pause. Don't flood her with attention. Don't rearrange your calendar after one good conversation. Stay steady. Be deliberate. Let the interest build instead of trying to force it. And remember, clinginess is not chemistry. Presence is. You don't need to chase. You need to own your space. Now, you might think the worst thing you can do is show eagerness. But the real killer? The mistake that undermines everything, even if you're calm, wise, and successful, is the one most men make without even realizing it. It's called the age acknowledgement killer.
And it's next.
Mistake number 3. The age acknowledgement killer. This one's subtle. It doesn't show up as a big gesture. It shows up in your language, in your tone, in those tiny, self-deprecating remarks you think are harmless. Mistake number 3 is what I call the age acknowledgement killer. It sounds like this. I know I'm probably too old for you, but back when I was your age. Or maybe it's a joke. These knees aren't what they used to be, followed by a laugh that hides just a bit of insecurity. Let me be clear. The moment you bring up your age in a way that apologizes for it, or tries to make it cute, or preemptively explains it, you lose the room. You've just told her that you're not sure you belong. And if you're not sure, why should she be? Women, especially strong, beautiful, self-assured women, don't want a man who asks for permission to exist in the room. They want a man who owns his presence. A man who walks in like he's exactly where he's supposed to be. Not because of arrogance, but because of alignment. Here's what's happening underneath. When you acknowledge your age in a self-conscious way, you're signaling insecurity. You're basically saying, I'm not sure if I'm enough anymore, so let me defuse the tension with a joke or disclaimer. But here's the truth. Your age is not the problem. Your relationship with your age is. You've lived. You've built. You've failed. You've rebuilt. That's not a liability, it's your edge. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your age, the very thing you think you need to hide, is actually your path to being undeniable if you embrace it without apology. So the next time your mind wants to make that little joke, don't. The next time you feel tempted to explain away your years, don't. Instead, look her in the eye, speak with clarity, and let your life speak for itself. Because when you're unapologetic about the man you've become, your energy says, I've earned this chapter. And that energy, that's what she feels. That's what she remembers. So, let's bring it home. Mistake 1. The provider trap, leading with your wallet instead of your presence. That doesn't show strength. It shows overcompensation. Mistake 2. The overeagerness epidemic, where you orbit her life instead of inviting her into yours. That doesn't create attraction. It crushes it. Mistake 3. The age acknowledgement killer, where you make your years the punchline instead of the power they truly are. And the antidote? Lead with your wisdom, not your wealth. Stand in your center, not in her shadow. Own your age, not with apology, but with quiet, grounded pride. This isn't about tricks. It's about presence. And the presence of a man who knows who he is doesn't need to convince anyone of his worth. So, if you've made one of these mistakes before, good. That means you're learning. That means you're growing. Now it's time to stop shrinking yourself for her comfort and start standing tall for your own truth. And if this hits something inside you, don't just nod and scroll.
Hit that like button. Subscribe.
And drop a comment below. I lead with presence, not performance. Because the world doesn't need more men pretending to be younger. It needs older men, finally walking in the full weight of their power.